All right, Trump made a big, reckless promise, and if he actually enacts his plan over the next 24 hours, multiple markets in the US will collapse. It will nuke multiple key sectors, and honestly, it'll hurt many of his most loyal MAGA politicians and American citizens, but red states will bear the brunt of the tariffs that Donald Trump is floating. And the thing is, both China and Mexico have entirely called Trump's bluff, because if he actually does impose these tariffs, he wrecks the economy of Canada, of the US, of Mexico, and if he doesn't impose the tariffs, he looks weak. He looks like he's just a big bluffer. He loses any leverage that he thought he had, because a lot of the MAGA supporters will say that Trump only floats this tariff idea to get leverage over other countries. And I think that's largely BS, but there's some truth to the idea that Trump thinks tariffs are the end-all be-all and give him all of this leverage, but you don't have leverage if you repeatedly prove that you're just lying. If you threaten tariffs against 10 countries and never impose the tariffs, you lose all leverage, because they'll be like, bro, you're clearly just bluffing. You're clearly bluffing. So there's a few articles that I want to break down, because a lot of Trump aides are currently scrambling behind the scenes to fix the promises that Trump made, because they're just so incredibly reckless. At the same time, Trump's trade war could put some of his key allies in a very uncomfortable spot. The promised tariffs on Canada and Mexico could decimate the economy of Senate Majority Leader Thune's home state. Let's read this very quickly. No congressional leader is more at risk of getting caught in the crossfire of Donald Trump's coming trade wars than Senate Majority Leader John Thune, and American citizens, of course. But Trump said Thursday he's ready to slap sweeping 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico as soon as Saturday. And the thing is, I don't entirely believe Trump, because he said, on day one, when I get into office on day one, I'm doing these tariffs. Well, he didn't do that. He then said at the end of the first week, I'll impose these tariffs. Well, the end of the first week is passed, and then he said February 1st. February 1st is tariff day. That's when I'm imposing tariffs on all of our allies and none of our enemies for some reason. So I honestly think he's largely bluffing, and I think people around him know. I think the advisors around him, as stupid as they are, they know that tariffs would wreck the U.S. economy, and that's why they're currently scrambling, but we'll get to that. Trump said Thursday he's ready to slap sweeping 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico as soon as Saturday, tomorrow, which will force the South Dakota Republican to decide whether he will use his leadership perch to push back on a tactic that has given him and other agriculture state GOP lawmakers heartburn, or does he align himself with a burgeoning block of MAGA-tinged protectionists in Congress? I mean, it's pretty obvious that Thune wouldn't push back on Trump, but the article continues. Well, first of all, let's break down what's going on over here, because many Trump aides are currently hunting for an 11th hour deal to dial back Trump's main promise, which was 25% blanket tariffs on Canada and Mexico. Make sure you drop a like, make sure you subscribe to this channel, and let's just jump in. President Trump's closest advisors are considering several off-ramps to avoid enacting the universal tariffs on Mexico and Canada that he had pledged, according to people familiar with the matter, even as he reiterated Thursday that the tariffs are coming. I largely think he's bluffing about putting 25% across-the-board tariffs, because that would hurt badly. That would hurt red states badly. And it's not like Trump really cares, but I think he understands how unpopular that would be. The situation is fluid, and Trump still may go through with his vow to slap 25% across-the-board levies on imports from America's two largest trading partners and our two closest geographical neighbors. The president has consistently said he would do so by Saturday, by February 1st. Again, he's moved back that timeline multiple times. But amid ongoing negotiations with Canada and Mexico, the admin appears undecided on whether to impose tariffs on all imports from these countries. People familiar with the matter said, adding that the administration officials are preparing to opt for more targeted measures instead. So again, Trump makes a big, reckless promise and then has to walk it back and act like he won. And my worry is that Canada is actually going to give him some concessions, and then Trump's just going to claim the tariffs worked when they didn't actually do that. But let's just be clear. These tariffs wouldn't just hurt American citizens. They wouldn't even just hurt John Thune. They would really hurt a lot of red states where U.S. agricultural exports are huge. So they could devastate multiple Republicans in farm states who backed Trump, who were incredibly loyal to Trump, thinking that he would protect their industries. Instead, Trump is literally throwing them to the wolves. And the numbers are pretty staggering. So if we look at U.S. agricultural exports to Mexico, they're expected to hit nearly $30 billion this year. And Canada is very close at about $29 billion. So if these tariffs were to go into effect on these two countries bordering us, Canada and Mexico, those markets could collapse overnight. There are industries that would be nuked overnight, and the consequences for farmers, manufacturers, and small businesses, mainly in agricultural states, so a lot of red states, would genuinely be catastrophic. I mean, we'd see the effects within 2 weeks. And here are my genuine thoughts. I think the people around Trump are telling him, dude, you can't do this. You genuinely cannot put 25% blanket tariffs on these countries because red states would collapse. I think people like Thune are probably lobbying their aides, their advisors, to go and tell Trump, hey, you can't do this. But we know that Trump is stubborn. We know that out of all of the policies he's flip-flopped on, there's one thing he's remained consistent on, and that's tariffs. There are videos of Trump in the 80s and the 90s saying we need to be tariffing China. We need to be tariffing China. And it's crazy that after all these years, after 40 years, he still doesn't know what a tariff is, but I digress. Trump is very likely to announce some sort of trade action by Saturday, but it may only affect certain sectors such as steel and aluminum. Trump may also include major exemptions such as oil. So he made these huge promises, and now he's entirely walking them back. And listen, the U.S. has been engaged in weeks of frantic negotiations with Canada and Mexico, as well as lobbying by North American businesses and labor groups that have argued across-the-board tariffs would snarl continental supply chains. And we have to remember, Trump is now shitting on and trying to renegotiate the trade deal that he negotiated with Canada during his first term. He said this was the greatest trade deal in the history of trade deals, that trade wars are so easy to win. Yet he's now saying that he wants to renegotiate this entire contract. He's honestly just bullying our allies. And this brings us on to the John Thune situation. So Thune knows the stakes all too well. Retaliatory tariffs during Trump's 2018 trade war with China crippled South Dakota's agricultural-dependent economy, which relies on billions of dollars of soybeans, corn, beef, and other agricultural products. And let's not forget, Trump has attempted to humiliate Thune before. Back in 2020, Thune was the one that refused to go along with Trump's efforts to overturn the election, so Trump publicly came out and said that Thune's political career is over. He was like, this guy's career is done for. And of course, Thune survived. He's now the Senate Majority Leader, but the message was clear from Trump. If you don't follow my every step, if you're not lockstep with me, I will ruin your career. So now Thune is in a little bit of a tight position. What do you do if you're Thune here? Do you go against the leader of the party openly? Do you rally against him? Or do you let your own state get nuked agriculturally or economically because you're so loyal and so scared of the president? Which one do you guys think he's going to do? He's very clearly just going to go along with Trump, but farmers there in these states are still reeling from their losses during Trump's first term, and a standoff with Mexico and Canada, which are now American farmers' two largest export markets, would be devastating. And you guys know I love this article, so let me pull it up. 92% of Trump's China tariff proceeds went to bail out angry farmers during his first term. So just think about this. Trump thinks that tariffs produce all of this revenue from foreign countries, but he's wrong. The revenue comes from the U.S. companies importing these products. So then, after this revenue is produced, Trump used 92% of it to give it back to the farmers who were originally impacted. I don't even think counterproductive describes how dumb of a plan that is. All right, let's continue. U.S. agricultural exports to Mexico are expected to reach $30 billion or $29.9 billion, and Canada, $29.2 billion, with China a little bit further behind. So other farm state lawmakers in the agricultural industry are quietly counting on Thune to push back against Trump charging into another wave of catastrophic trade wars, but I wouldn't put that much faith in Thune. He is, at the end of the day, beholden to Trump just like every other Republican is. Maybe he's not Marjorie Taylor Greene, but he's still essentially a MAGA loyalist. And we'll end it there. I'm going to keep covering this tariff debacle over the next 24 hours. And if he actually does impose these tariffs, we're going to be talking about the implications a lot over the next few weeks. The effects will be felt within days to maybe 1 week. Farmers will be hit. American citizens will be hit. We'll talk about this all. Just drop a like, subscribe. Have a great rest of your day. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.